I think we need to talk.
Oh, yeah, we do?
We do.
Oh, not again!
Yes, we do! Hi, welcome to our channel, Honey, We Need to Talk. Today's topic is, are children in our community questioning their parents' ability to parent? Are they? Have they lost their mind? Why they're so ungrateful brats, y'all? So there are people on the internet who have channels and podcasts. Rolling my eyes. There are people on the internet who have entire channels with their podcast based on just them questioning their parents' abilities or how they've been parented. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why didn't you let me go here? Why didn't you let me do this? Yeah, we know what you're going to say. We know what you're going to say about this and what you're going to do. I want your opinion on this, and do you agree with them questioning it? And what do you think about it?
But first, let's get this clear. When you say a lot of young people, you're talking about Desi kids.
I'm talking about
young
Desi,
people
young people who are in their...
that have been brought up in the West.
Especially in the West, yes, especially in the West. And not just in the West, I think also in Pakistan. If you consider the fact that all the generation that's questioning it is actually, from middle class up, to be honest. Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
Which is never humble.
Okay, I think there are several reasons, and obviously it depends, what your childhood was like. But I think generally speaking, I think it's a matter of, it's just a matter of cultural, sort of conversion, where kids have grown up in the West and they have slightly Western values. Okay, but the parents are from Pakistan or India. Okay, they're from somewhere in the East, and then it's just a conflicting values. The parents have certain set of values that this is how the parenting should be done, but the kids have a different view of how the parents should treat their children.
Yeah,
you understand, because they've been influenced by the West. Also there's peer influence. They see white kids, and the way their parents are, so they're like,
what are you doing, sweetheart? Get away, bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like that. So obviously, I'll try that.
Come inside.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. अच्छा सबसे पहली तो बात है, with all due leftover respect for the people in the West, which by mean are largely in our community. First of all, I would like to add the point that it's not just the Pakistani community or the Asian community who are questioning their parents' ability to parent or how they've been parented. I think it's mostly how they've been parented individually. वो कहते हैं हमें ऐसे क्यों किया, ऐसे क्यों किया. I think it's also in other minorities, or just minorities, I suppose. In other minorities as well, children are questioning their parents and why they were so strict with them, like the African American people, I know about some Nigerians I know, but that's just Arabs. So I
think it's a very much in migrant thing.
It is. I believe
it's
so. Yeah.
Western and the rest of the world sort of thing. In a lot of cultures, you get beat up by parents, and it's normal.
Yeah, it's normal. Yeah, and although we agree that getting beaten up shouldn't be normal, because it's abusive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but the amount and extent of beating up has crossed the line through generations, through the kids and whatnot. I don't know, obviously, I don't have knowledge of which generation has been most physically beaten up and stuff like that. But my opinion on this is that, honestly speaking, I think that they shouldn't question them to the extent that they are being questioned, the parents.
Give me an example.
So if they are saying like, I wasn't allowed to do this and I wasn't allowed to do that, I mean, if they are so independent, if they were kept so independent that they're still gone to other countries with their friends or otherwise, whether they are girls or boys, or they've been so independent that they can have their own YouTube channels, especially when it comes to girls, because usme zyada, they feel more protected of the female girls. So, and to protect them as well, they want to. So would they have given their own children that much independence, just the way they have already been given their independence by their traditional parents? I mean, I think they were doing their best.
I think it's very difficult to say. There are some parents that both of them work.
Yeah.
So obviously they have not been able to watch over their kids as much as they could have if only one of them was working.
Yeah.
Also, I know one person. She was a single mother. Okay, so while she was doing pretty much overtime, the two girls of hers, they were at home.
Yeah.
So it's like that sort of. It depends on the situation you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, but generally speaking, I think the freedom that a lot of these kids that you're talking about, the freedom that they want is more like can they do sleepover, which they're not allowed. Okay, or can they go out with friends? Okay, and I think a lot of the restriction is over that sort of thing. Would you allow your child to have a sleepover?
Nope.
Why not?
I would never allow my child to have a sleepover with families. I am not familiar with their culture. I'm not familiar with how children are in their community, how children are, taken care of, and whether it's okay for them to look after each other's children and this and that. And it also depends on how long we've known their parents, which is impossible to know, especially if you live here. Our own families are so blended in our community, so together, that it's even hard to find Pakistani people who have family friends with other Pakistani people if they are not family. Is very, very hard. We come from very, I suppose, traditional or conservative backgrounds. I would also call them, what's that word? Tribal.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think families in Pakistan based a lot of their friendliness or their close relationship based on, I think it becomes a bit tribal, doesn't it? When you go into castes, into cousins, into relatives, and you just keep around them, especially when you're abroad. Which I do believe is the right thing to do, without a doubt. Because everyone has cousins, everyone has aunts and uncles and relatives.
So you would not allow your child,
yes,
sleepover?
Yeah, I would not allow my child to sleep over.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, with families we are not familiar with, or we're not familiar with their culture.
I don't mind if they have a sleepover with their cousins. Okay, but somebody else outside, no, I don't think.
Can I also point out to the newer generation who is so blatantly questioning their parents and parenting
really
methods?
You're mad at them.
I'm very mad at them.
Why?
Because, dude, there's so much I want to say about this. There is so
What's your problem?
What's my problem? You want to know my problem? I'll give you a problem to care about. Okay, first of all, you've got to consider the fact that all parents traditionally in Pakistan, or especially in our community, if we're going to focus on the Western people like you, they based their upbringing on traditional methods. We've said this word several times. So now what does it mean? Let me clear it up for you. So their traditional methods come from experience. It comes from their mothers and fathers. It comes from real practical life experiences. It's not based on books. It's not based on bookish knowledge from colleges and universities, which is actually, just because you're doing well in academics is no guarantee, and it's been said and scientifically researched as well. You doing good in academics is no guarantee that you're going to do well in practical life. So their teachings, their methods were based on stories, life stories from real people. It was based on their own life experiences. It was based on their the tribalism, you can call it, but the community they kept around themselves, their brothers and sisters and mothers, it came from real experiences, it came from real methods that work, and that is how they brought you up. The advantage you have now, the new generation has now, is that they're educated and they've got a tongue they can wag and a brain that can think. And now you're pointing your finger back at them, which is, if you think about it, even in, I feel strongly as well about this other thing. The more you hurt your parents, Allah Ta'ala, that is the quickest Allah Ta'ala is going to, give you karma back in this world. Not just afterlife.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think it's fair to raise your children with Eastern values while living in the West? Don't you think that the kids would get just confused? They're going to grow up here. Their children will grow up here. They live here. Okay, this is their life. They have very little connection with, Eastern world, Pakistan, India, okay, other than just Bollywood.
Yeah.
That's the only... Bollywood.
Acha, Bollywood.
Bollywood
and
movies.
Then Lollywood.
Bollywood movies are the only cultural experience that they, truly have, with back home. Okay? So do you think it's fair to raise them with those values when they're not even living over there?
I think these people that come from real life experiences and have tried to make it in the West as first time parents, or even if it is the second generation, they know a thing or two about how to survive. They know a thing about, honestly, if you look at other communities and their children, there is not one person in this world who's living, if they are living in a different country, not being raised with their own values and their own, what they are familiar with, their parents are familiar with. It is impossible not to raise them with what you're familiar with, because that's what you've learned growing up. That's how you learn to survive. Those are the values you observed and exercised. You can't just say that now they are here, bam, in your face, here's all the new values. You can't do that. You don't understand them yourself. You can't comprehend them yourself. That's not the best way, in your opinion, that how you should raise kids, because that's not how you know what survival is like. Or if you let them go on that path, you wouldn't know which side, where your child is going, because you don't know what's going to happen.
So you've described a perfect problem, okay, in a perfect way, basically, that it's a problem of generational gap.
Yeah.
Two generations having different values.
Yeah, it is two generations having different values. But the thing is, okay, now coming to the positive side of it, how can we look at it positively? There will always be a generational gap between the two generations of the parents and the kids. Your kids are born for a different time and the parents are born for a different time. It does not mean they did not do their best. The parents did not do their best. They were doing their best. That's all they knew how to do. That's my take on it. Yeah, because there are a lot of things that people don't talk about, that parents have their own issues. And then there is this layer of responsibility. This is an additional layer of responsibility. If you're having, like, I've seen so many TikTok videos and they make it really humorous that the woman's like, you're having a mental breakdown, and then the kid comes and I want a snack, and she stops crying, here's a snack. Then she goes like, hey, and then she goes back to crying. And that's the truth. That's the truth. We don't get time to have a breakdown. What do you think about this fact that parents की mental health के बारे में बात नहीं की जाती, and they are doing their best to bring their kids up?
Oh yeah, I think that is a bit the one-sided at the moment. That people talk about children's mental health
all the time.
Okay, but nobody's talking about parents' mental health.
Exactly.
Okay, so but that's beside the point. But let me ask you this: why is it important to retain traditional values, traditional Eastern values, despite living in the West? Your children are growing up here. Okay, shouldn't the parents evolve into Western values a little bit quicker and assimilate?
I think you can only have a balance in it. They shouldn't they shouldn't convert to the new values because they are not familiar with the consequences of them. They are not familiar with which direction their child is going to go in.
But when they came here, this was a full package. This was meant to be. They came here. They knew they were going to raise their children here. Okay, so it's a full package. You can't have, parents coming here, okay, but they want their kids to be like back home. You understand what I mean? Don't you think it's unfair?
They should adapt to the things they can adapt to, but not without putting their child's future at risk.
Nobody's putting their future at risk.
Yes, they are. What about drugs? What about crime? These are all the wrong directions. Getting wrong friends can change the course of your life because your parents are telling you to do something else.
So if a kid wants a bit of freedom, okay, do you think they're going to get into drugs?
No, it depends on how you brought them up. But not even largely on that. It also depends on the child's judgment, I suppose. Because children grow up very early here. It's not like Pakistan. You don't just overparent their children. We in our community especially, we tend to overparent our children and they stay with us even when they're adults.
Isn't that exactly their problem? That you're overparenting them. So they do have a point. You're overparenting them.
Listen, if you have a problem with them overparenting them, why don't you go and face the world, you mummy daddy kid?
But you won't let them.
If you let them,
they want to face the world, but you don't let them. You don't let them go out.
Okay, you tell me.
Okay.
You have a son.
Uh-huh.
He says, I want to move out. I'm 20 now. Come on, I don't want to be one of
when he's 18 years old, I will tell him to move out. I want you to get out. Yeah.
No, 18 is... See, so that's the thing.
Get out.
I think if a child is responsible enough and understands they're good or bad, and they understand the kind of society they're growing up in, but they also understand their own values, it's okay to let them have some freedom.
Okay, so now you're okay with letting them have a bit of freedom.
It depends on the extent of freedom. I mean, you can't cross the line. You can't go to a pizza as a bachelor. You're not going to a pizza with your friends. And don't you lie to me about what ticket you buy.
लेकिन your previous point जो था आपका, जिस पे अब डिबेट शुरू हो रही थी, interesting one, वो क्या थी?
वो इस बात में थी that the older generation की upbringing and the way to parent comes from real life experiences, real life methods, and the real life people around them. And you actually can't compete with that. पता है क्या, बूढ़े होके सारे यही कहते हैं, हमारे अम्मी ठीक थे, हमारे अब्बू ठीक थे, काश हम उनकी बात सुन लेते, सारे यही कहते हैं।
एक मिनट, आपका पॉइंट ये था, ठीक है ना, कि हम ओवर पेरेंटिंग कर रहे हैं, जी, ठीक है ना? ये
मैंने नहीं कहा, ये आपने कहा।
नहीं, आपने कहा था।
ये आपने निकाली है बात।
नहीं, आपने क्या बात करी, एक मिनट हरे, आपने कहा है कि हम अपनी कम्युनिटी में जो है वो ज्यादा ओवर पेरेंटिंग कर देते हैं।
Yeah, because you pointed out, then I had to give it some
you pointed it out. आपने कहा था, you made this point कि हम अब ओवर पेरेंटिंग वगैरह करते हैं और ये इम्पोर्टेंट होता है, आपने इस तरह की बात की थी, ठीक है ना? ठीक है ना? तो मैं फिर आर्ग्यू कर रहा हूँ, तो ये गलत नहीं है कि ओवर पेरेंटिंग जब आप कर रहे हैं, इतनी ओवर पेरेंटिंग की शायद ज़रूरत नहीं है। और वो जो आपकी बात कह रही है कि जी वो, जब मैंने आपसे ये सवाल पूछा है, अगर आप उसे फ्रीडम देंगे तो इसका मतलब ये है कि वो ड्रग्स करना शुरू कर देगा, आपने कहा है कि नहीं। ठीक है ना? आपने फिर कहा है कि नहीं, ये डिपेंड करता है कि उसकी वैल्यूज़ उसको किस तरह की सिखाई गई हैं और ये वो। तो यही एग्जैक्टली उनमें से बहुत सारे बच्चों का यही पॉइंट नहीं है कि यार अगर तुम हमें फ्रीडम दे दोगे तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम ड्रग्स करना शुरू कर देंगे। वो कह रहे हैं कि हमारी जो वैल्यूज़ तुमने सिखाई हैं बस तुम उतनी वो सिखाओ और उसके बाद हमें जो है ना फ्रीडम दो। Do you understand what I mean? तो आपको लगता नहीं है थोड़ा सा फेयर आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि जस्ट बिकॉज आप उनको फ्रीडम देंगे तो वो ड्रग्स नहीं करने शुरू हो जाएंगे? जिसने करनी हुई ना वो घर में बैठ के भी कर लेगा। ठीक है ना? सही है ना?
अच्छा, can I say something on this?
Yes,
point?
please.
I would like to put forward the very what's it called? The very point, I suppose, that what if the parent realizes recognizes that there is a need to overparent their own child because they do not understand their good from bad yet, and they are careless and they're too pampered, and we've tried giving them freedom before, although they've graduated with a high degree and this and that, they've been to college, they've been to university, they've had their opportunities that they couldn't themselves have. But we still feel like that person or their child, their own child, is lacking in understanding the values we have tried to bring them up with.
Okay, in my opinion,
Yeah.
when the child has graduated,
Yes.
he's not a child anymore. ठीक है ना? So I think उसके बाद आप उसको जो भी बताएंगे ना, आपने अपनी पेरेंटिंग कर चुके हैं. अब वो एक अच्छा इंसान जो है ना, अगर हुआ तो वो बस अच्छा इंसान होगा, अगर वो बुरा इंसान हुआ तो वो बुरा इंसान बनेगा.
अच्छा.
उसके बाद जो है ना, देयर इज नॉट मच यू कैन डू. यू नो, वो जो आप कह रही है ना कि विल यू लेट देम मूव आउट और ये वो, ठीक है ना, एक सर्टेन स्टेज के बाद, ठीक है, एक सर्टेन स्टेज के बाद जो है ना, इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता अब आपने क्या करना है. वो बस वो यू क्रिएटेड अ मैन और अ वुमन, अब वो बस उसी तरह का होगा. तो उसके बाद जो है ना, और यू नो एज मुस्लिम्स उसका गुनाह हमारे ऊपर आता है. अगर हमारे बच्चे जब 18-20 साल के हो गए हैं, बालिग हो चुके हैं, मतलब कि जब 18-20 साल के हैं, वो शादी करने के काबिल हैं, वोट करने के काबिल हैं, वगैरह वगैरह, वो जो गुनाह करते हैं वो हमारे साथ आता है. इन माई ओपिनियन नहीं आता. मतलब कि वो अब मैं क्या करूँ, अब वो अगर उल्टी सीधी हरकतें कर रहा है तो मेरा इसमें बीच में क्या, मैंने तो ठीक बताया था उसको कि ये चीज़ें गलत हैं, समझ रही है. तो वो इन माय ओपिनियन वो ही इज हिज ओन मैन एंड हिज ओन हर ओन वुमन, यू नो. तो आज मुझे नहीं लग रहा कि वो इतना ज़्यादा उनको करने की ज़रूरत है.
अच्छा.
जो आपने बनाना था ना वो बना चुके. पेरेंटिंग वाला फेज ख़त्म हो चुका है. अब आप पेरेंट नहीं है. या उल्टी सीधी हरकतें वो करेंगे, लेकिन उसके बाद जो मुझे लगता है कि जो पेरेंटिंग वाला फेज जो है ना वो बचपन में है. यू नो, बिफोर आप जो है ना 16 तक जो है ना आप पेरेंटिंग वगैरह कर सकते हैं. उसके बाद जो है वो उसकी अपनी मर्जी है, वो अब छुप के कर रहा होगा.
अच्छा. I would like to put forward 2 more points here. ठीक है ना, in opposition to what you just said. First of all, that is one of the reasons why our Pakistani parents need to overparent. जब वो छूट देंगे ना, वो पागल ही हो जाना है. अब तो हम क्लबिंग भी जाएंगे. Now we're going to go clubbing. Now we're going to try this. Now we're going to try that. We're not going to let our parents know. We are adults. We've been given the freedom that we want. Now we're independent. We have our own car, because then they're going to go to universities and they will have that freedom to live in maybe hostels, or if they want. I don't know what they're called here, the hostels. So in all these or student accommodation, in other words, with other students. So if there's so much influence around you, especially in your 20s, it's very easy to let go. And although you know your values, it's not that you might go on the wrong road, but you will try a lot of things that were prohibited. ठीक है ना? Or that's when you'll be like, oh, it's a whole new world. You know, just Aladdin mein hota hai, it's a whole new world. I'm going to go this and ruin my life. I'm going to go right here. No, you shouldn't do that. That is why the parents are always hovering above you. They're helicopter parenting inside. That is what they're trying to do. And that's when you keep questioning them, because you know you're pampered, you know you're protected, you know you're in a safe and secure country where you can have your rights, you can have your independence, you can have your freedom, and then you're just going to backfire to your parents. But the good part about, at this point, what the parents can do is they can make sure throughout their life that they have a certain level of friendship, certain level of openness, that the child should not fear in sharing what they have in their heart or on their mind with their parents. Even if the parent does not have the answers to a lot of questions, they can still guide them. They can still tell them what's wrong and what's right and what the questions and how they can find out the answers.
Okay, let me ask you this then.
What?
आप कह रही हैं कि basically they should move out.
They should or they shouldn't?
You're saying they shouldn't move out. You said that they shouldn't move out.
Did I say that?
At 20.
Maybe I started with that, yeah.
Okay. So what's your opinion about going to university? your children might not get into our university in this city.
Yeah.
They might go to like Bradford University or Leicester University or in London or somewhere. So obviously they will practically move out and live elsewhere.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion about that one? How do you reconcile with that? On one hand, you don't want them to move out, but on the other hand, you're okay with practically them moving out, living with somebody else, okay, and going to university.
Okay.
Basically, starting a life in a university.
Okay, so if we discuss that point, if we discuss this aspect of the relationship or what's going to happen in the future with even the kids that are growing up here now, so you've got to keep in mind that they have to have enough love and friendship to come back to realize that your parents are going to be your best friends. And it's very obvious that drugs are never going to be good for you, and there are people who become homeless, there are people who are alcoholics and they become homeless and they don't have a good life. And I think on a certain level as adults they will recognize all this, and good children and good parents will eventually be able to reconcile in that situation. So for example, I know and have heard a lot of children who go to universities and on weekend they come back home.
Yeah.
They come on the weekend to their parents because they miss them so much. They miss the comfort of home. They miss your friendship. They miss the love. It's your responsibility to not just bring them up and prevent them or protect them from the wrong things and the wrong directions that they may take in or that will come across them in life, but also the fact that you should give them an environment which is a lot more loving, where they can say what they want, where they can heal from whatever they go through in life. And when you give them that protection and that love, and you know what I personally believe with the problem with the parents that we've been brought up with, majority of them don't consider the aspect of friendship in their relationship with their children. They're too busy being parents to a level where they feel like there should be a distance otherwise they're not going to have any respect from them.
I don't quite agree with that one.
But you haven't had that sort of upbringing where there was a distance where you didn't feel like
I think our parents, okay, they didn't have much of a friendship. Okay, but the parents nowadays, they're not like our parents. They do have friendship.
Because they felt the distance between their parents and themselves, that they feel there was a distance and they didn't have that element of friendship, and it was more dictatorial, to be honest. Around the world, it was more dictatorial. This is how kids were brought up. Do this, do that, ye nahi karna, wo nahi karna. They were all ordered around. There was a method of life and they just had to follow, and they couldn't say no to their parents. This openness and this transition to being more open and friendly is very recent, I feel. We are guilty of this. We are like friends with our kids. So they can talk back. They feel they can talk back. It's very natural. So there's critical thinking. We allow them to have that critical thinking. Yeah, that is true.
Because we think that, it's...
a sign of smartness.
It's a sign of smartness, and it's good for development and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then he will then turn around and criticize you. That's when you don't like it.
But that's the whole conversation. That's why we're talking about it. That's not what I'm saying. You आप उसे 50-50 dramatize ना करें. Don't dramatize the situation. मिर्च मसाला जरा कम लाओ ना.
अच्छा बताएं फिर.
देखें.
आप मुझे लग रहा है सही अपना वो बयान नहीं कर पा रही हैं.
मैं बयान कर रही हूँ, आप जज्ब नहीं कर पा रहे.
आई थिंक ये जो आप कह रही है ना, बच्चे जो है क्रिटिकल हो रहे हैं और ये वो, आई थिंक सबसे पहली तो बात ये है कि पेरेंट्स जो है ना वो थोड़े ज़्यादा ही अपने बच्चों के साथ जो है ना बच्चे बने हुए हैं.
अच्छा. और
वो बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रेंडली हुए हैं. अच्छा. इस बात को आप सपोर्ट करती हैं?
हाँ, मैं सपोर्ट करती हूँ कि
इस बात को मैं सपोर्ट नहीं करता हूँ.
नहीं, मगर एक्सटेंसिवली तो नहीं ना होना चाहिए.
वही ना. अब आप एक बच्चे को आप किस तरह बता सकते हैं कितनी लिमिट है? ये
लिमिट तो आपने डिफाइन करनी है ना. You're the
adult. तो आप लिमिट डिफाइन कर रहे हैं ना. At some point you draw that line.
Yeah.
अब उस बच्चे के लिए वही चीज स्ट्रिक्ट है. आपने लाइन जो है थोड़ी आगे लगाई है, लेकिन उस बच्चे को, क्योंकि वो बच्चा यूज टू हो चुका है फ्रेंडलीनेस के साथ, जब वो उस लाइन पे पहुंचता है वो कहता है यार मैं इस लाइन पे आगे नहीं जा सकता. यही
What are you trying to say?
ये देखें, एक लाइन आप ड्रॉ करती हैं ठीक है ना, एक जगह पे मैं एक जगह लाइन ड्रॉ करता हूँ, आप थोड़ी लाइन थोड़ी आगे ड्रॉ करती हैं, ठीक है ना, क्योंकि आप ज़्यादा फ्रेंडली होना चाहती हैं। जब वो बच्चा उस लाइन पे पहुंचता है ना, आपकी लाइन पे, तो वो कहता है कि यार इससे आगे क्यों नहीं मुझे जाने देते, तो वो उसके बारे में कंप्लेन करेगा। समझ गए मेरी बात? मैं जो है लाइन जो है वो करीब ड्रॉ कर रहा हूँ कि ये लिमिट है, इससे आगे तुम नहीं जा सकते। तुम मुझे कहो कि मैं अनफ्रेंडली हूँ, मैं ये हूँ वो हूँ, स्ट्रिक्ट हूँ, ब्ला 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 ब्ला, लेकिन ये लाइन है, ठीक है ना। और वो लाइन जो मैं ड्रॉ करता हूँ ना, वो इस चीज़ के ऊपर बेस करके करता हूँ कि हर वक्त मैं इस बच्चे के साथ नहीं हूँगा। एक दिन आएगा इसने यूनिवर्सिटी जाना है, वहाँ पे उसको ही हैज़ टू be able to hear the word no. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
You know, things don't revolve around you. I feel कि वो लाइन जो मैं ड्रॉ कर रहा हूँ ना, वो उस बच्चे को प्रिपेयर कर दिया उसके लिए,
नो के लिए।
हाँ, ठीक है ना। तो वो जो आप कह रही है ना कि बच्चों को थोड़ा फ्रेंडली, बच्चों के साथ फ्रेंडली हो जाना चाहिए, ये वो सारा कुछ, मुझे लगता है कि वो उन बच्चों को जो है ना प्रिपेयर नहीं करती। और वो जो आपने मिसाल दी है ना कि कुछ बहुत सारे आजकल मुझे पता है कि बहुत सारे यूनिवर्सिटी के लड़के होते हैं, लड़कियां होती हैं, वो आ जाते हैं वीकेंड में घर आ जाते हैं। आई थिंक दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ अ प्रॉब्लम कि जब तुम जा रहे हो यूनिवर्सिटी, तुम दिस इज योर लाइफ, गेट यूज्ड टू इट, डू योर ओन लॉन्ड्री, क्लीन अप योरसेल्फ, यू नो।
Spoken like a true dad.
एक मिनट है ना, वो जो घर आ रहा है ना, मम्मी के बारे में जाने, मेरी मम्मी, मेरी मम्मा, मेरी मम्मा, ठीक है ना, कि वो दैट इज ऑड वन, ठीक है ना। तो आप जो कह रही है ना, एक तरफ आप कह रही हैं कि फ्रेंडली हो, बट देन यू आर नॉट प्रिपेयरिंग देम, ठीक है ना, यू आर नॉट प्रिपेयरिंग देम, ठीक है ना। और फिर उसी की वजह से तो वो कह रही है कि यार अब हम प्रिपेयर्ड नहीं है। अब जब वो रियल लाइफ उनको जब हेट करती है ना, तो उनको फिर पुरानी यादें आ रही हैं, अच्छा यार मुझे ये नहीं करने दिया था, मुझे वो नहीं करने दिया था। और यही तो बात है कि बीएडेड मर्द हैं और वो कंप्लेनें कर रहे हैं कि मेरी मम्मी ने मुझे ये नहीं करने दिया था, मेरी मम्मी मुझे ये नहीं करने देती। इजंट दैट अ प्रॉब्लम? जब तू मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जब तू मर्द बन गया ना, अब तू मर्द है, तेरा गुनाह जो है ना वो मेरे सर नहीं आना चाहिए। मैंने जो कहना था वो कह दिया, मैंने वहां पे लाइन ड्रॉ की थी उस वक्त जब तू छोटा था। तो मैं एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा हूँ कि जब तक वो बड़ा होगा ना, तब तक वो यूज्ड टू हो चुका होगा इस लाइन से, ठीक है ना। जब वो जाएगा ना बॉस के आगे, जब उसे बॉस की मीटिंग पे वेट करना पड़ेगा, तो फिर वो आराम से वेट कर लेगा। उसको वो नहीं मेंटल स्ट्रेस हो रहा है, ओ माय गॉड मैं वेट कर रहा हूँ। समझ रही है मेरी बात? ये चीज जो है ना ये प्रिपेयर करती है उन लोगों को, और ये फिर इनको इंडिपेंडेंट बनाती होती है। एंड होपफुली जब वो एक दिन इंडिपेंडेंट होंगे तो वो ड्रग्स नहीं करेंगे। अगर आप उनको जो है ना वो इतनी छूट दे रही है, इतनी फ्रेंडली हो गए हैं कि लंबे पे हुए हो तुसी बच्चों के आगे, तो फिर जब एक दिन जब वो आएगा ना, जब वो बॉस कहेगा कि नहीं टाइम पे आना है, ये करना है, वो करना है, उसके वक्त उनको जो है ना मेंटल स्ट्रेस होना शुरू हो जाएगा, एंग्जाइटी होने शुरू हो जाएगी, क्योंकि वो रेडी नहीं है।
अच्छा,
ठीक है ना। और वही वाली बात है ना, फिर मुझे ये नहीं करने दिया था, मुझे वो नहीं करने दिया था, complaining.
Okay, so first of all, there are 2 points I'd like to make here that you've said. First of all, I would question, सबसे पहले तो I'd like to talk about the fact how mental health is trending so much, and how people are so very casually using words anxiety and mental stress और ये वो। I mean, आप बच्चे छोटे छोटे बच्चे होते हैं, ठीक है ना, बच्चे हैं, यूथ है, यंग हैं, और first of all they don't have like 100 responsibilities, nor are they.
This exactly proves my point.
Yeah, they
कि
make
उन
them
बच्चों को तुम इस तरह कर रहे हो ना, रेस कर रहे हो कि छोटे छोटे बच्चों को एंग्जाइटियां हो रही हैं।
हाँ बिल्कुल, I disagree with all this as well. I mean, I don't think these things should be a part of your everyday language.
Yeah.
If you're surrounding yourself with these kind of terms and you're not thinking of it, oh okay, you're feeling a bit down and you feel like, use some soft words, use such words that will help the child get out of it. Not like you're sad, oh you must be feeling so depressive,
like it's a disease.
Like it's a disease. It's not a disease. You're just feeling something, you confront that feeling or you grow out of it. And इस चीज से तो मैं बिल्कुल
यार
एग्री
तुझे
नहीं
फिक्र
करती.
हो रही है बस.
हाँ फिक्र हो रही है या जी घबराता है.
एग्जाम्स की फिक्र होती है.
हाँ
अम्मी घर जाके मारेंगी.
हाँ
इसकी फिक्र होती है.
बट उसे आप कहते हैं ना मेंटल स्ट्रेस और एंजाइटी हो रही है. तो
मेंटल स्ट्रेस हो रही है. वो एग्जाम आ गया.
हाँ तो मुझे अब एंजाइटी
ना है तेरा एग्जाम.
हाँ ना है तेरा एग्जाम यार यहाँ के अब दैट्स समथिंग दैट आई स्ट्रांगली ऑब्जेक्ट टू. आई एग्री विद यू ऑन दिस.
याद है हम जब स्कूल जाते थे टेस्ट होता था.
कौन सी एंजाइटी? हमने तो कभी लफ्ज ही नहीं सुना था भाई.
हाँ नहीं हमने भी नहीं सुना था.
हाँ,
क्योंकि मुझे इंग्लिश आती नहीं थी उस वक्त. So what's your conclusion about the complaining part, the not having the freedom? Because हमारी जितनी भी discussion हो रही है ना, it seems like I am more willing to give them freedom, okay, and you're not, okay, less than me, okay, and at the same time you're more like friendly type, and I'm not so much friendly type.
Yeah.
So do you think that tells you something about what's going on? A lot of the kids that have had very friendly parents, those kids are the ones that are complaining a lot.
I think even if they've not been friendly, they're complaining. So we listen. When it comes to complaining, I feel like there are kids who are, even if once they grow up, they can take the right road or the wrong road, and they're just taking that road of complaining.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Even if you've done everything right.
I do understand that there is a cultural difference. Okay, because हम लोग, we're brown.
Yeah.
Brown families, everything. Okay,
yeah.
So there is a cultural difference that we cannot overcome.
Yeah.
Okay, क्योंकि हम लोग मुसलमान हैं और ये वो certain values जो है ना, obviously parent तो वही सिखाएगा.
Yeah.
ठीक है. So certain restrictions जो है वो I can understand क्योंकि वो religious values type सी हैं.
हाँ, and they
तो
take
वो
priority.
तो मुसलमान हो या नहीं हो, इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Yeah.
ठीक है ना. लेकिन बाकी की जो values जो है ना, I think उसमें पेरेंट्स को थोड़ा सा कंसिडर करना चाहिए कि तुम बेटा अब यहाँ पे रहते हो. This was a choice that you made. Okay, you made that choice that you wanted to raise your kids in the West. Okay, so that was your decision.
Yeah.
So now the parent should not be the one complaining so much about what kids are getting into, because they made that choice.
I understand that, but then what about the kids who are complaining, but they're doing exactly, but they're living exactly how the parents want them to live?
No, but a lot of those kids, okay, what they're doing is because the parents wanted to live here, but raise their kids like Eastern culture.
Yeah.
And that's why those kids are complaining. You live over here, you don't let us go out, you don't let us do this, you don't let us do that. I think that is a problem. I think this is where the parents should be a bit more considerate that, obviously you're raising your kids over here. Obviously, what do you expect? And you're raising your kids in that world that we have never seen before, where information is so quick.
Yeah, it's so quick.
You can speak to somebody on the other side of the planet like you're sitting in one room.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you're raising your kids in that world.
Yeah.
So get over this and and recognize that that's the world you live in. आप तुम इस तरह एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते तुम बच्चों को कि जी तुम्हारी मर्जी से शादियां करें. ठीक है ना. तुम्हारे खानदान में करें या तुम्हारी कास्ट में करें. और बच्चों को मोबाइल लेके दिए हैं तुमने. हाँ, मोबाइल लेके दिए और आपकी शादी आपकी कजन फूफू के बेटे फूफू की बेटी. हाँ, ऑन द अदर साइड ऑफ द प्लेनेट को जो ना वो उधर एक्सेस है उसका जी. और तू चाह रहा है कि तू फूफी की बेटी से शादी कर. ऐसे तो नहीं हो सकता भाई. इस तरह तो नहीं ना पता. Right. Thank you so much for watching. This is the end of this video. But before you go, I want to know, how would you rate your own parents' ability to parent? Do you think they were too soft? Do you think they were too strict? How would you rate it and why? And how do you think you would do it differently? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to find out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.